Hi everyone, this is Professor Rigby and I will be teaching the Anthropology 102 or Cultural Anthropology online class at Santiago College. I wanted to give you a brief overview of what you're going to be learning about this semester in my class. To begin with, I'm going to show you a couple of PowerPoint slides that will help to point out some of the key aspects of anthropology that distinguish anthropology from other disciplines that study culture. So let's begin with a basic introduction to anthropology. So this is a slide that I normally show all my introductory classes, and I explain what anthropology is. I always feel it's a good idea when I lecture to have a PowerPoint slide going so that you see the spelling of words and you understand things better with pictures, diagrams, etc. I hope you don't mind. So, anthropology is the study of humankind in all times and places. If we take the word anthropology apart, anthropos means man in Greek, and logi comes from the Latin logos, which means the study of. So, the study of man. Of course, it always was implied that it's a study of man and women, the study of mankind. Now, anthropology is a fairly recent discipline dating to the 1870s. Because it's a new discipline, there are a lot of wonderful things that we could do, like borrowing from many other established disciplines. But, of course, being a newer discipline, there are some things, some kinks that we still need to deal with in terms of method and theory. Why do we study anthropology? Anthropology helps to answer the following questions. Number 1, what are we? Number 2, where did we come from? And number 3, how did we get to be the way we are today? Now those are big questions, and I'm sure all of you have thought about them at some point in your life. It's just that because we live these very hectic workaday days and going to school and things, we don't have time to really focus on these important questions. Well, in the class in anthropology, you're going to be forced to look at these questions and try to answer them. Now, there are actually 4 different sub-areas of anthropology, and these are as follows. Number 1, archaeology. Archaeology is the study of man's past through his material remains. Additionally, we could say that archaeology is the study of artifacts and the context in which they are found. The purpose of archaeology is the reconstruction of past life ways. Now, archaeology has always been one of my favorite of the areas of anthropology. It's where I did most of my graduate field work in Native American prehistory, Polynesian prehistory. These were the areas I focused on quite a bit in graduate school. By the way, if you don't know what an artifact is anything made or modified by man. Obviously, archaeologists spend a lot of time studying artifacts, okay? Because an artifact is the end product of human behavior. And if you know how to read it, you can tell something about the person who made it. Get enough information about artifacts from a site, you come to reconstruct what life was like at that ancient village site or city. get enough information from many villages or cities, you come to understand the regional area and what the culture was like as a whole. So, as I said, the main purpose is the reconstruction of past life ways. Sometimes people ask me, well, why is that important? Remember that where we are at today, in the present, is due to the mistakes and the accomplishments of the people of the past. And it seems to me we would be foolish to ignore those things. Another area we can get into in anthropology is linguistics, or linguistic anthropology. Now, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but there are two main places that you can take classes in linguistics at a four-year college or university. One is the Department of Linguistics, which often is a building unto itself. And there you will find the larger languages more commonly spoken on Earth today, like the Romance languages, Spanish, Portuguese, French, Italian. And they may have a floor dedicated to the Germanic languages, the Slavic languages, many of the Asian languages. I remember when I went to UCLA, they had a whole building unto itself where, you took those classes. And I took, I think, 5 years of Spanish. It was required for me. Many of you probably have to take foreign languages also at some point in time in your college career. But there's another place that you can take classes in linguistics, and that's through the Department of Anthropology, taught by an anthropological linguist. What's the difference? In anthropological linguistics, the focus is on the languages of non-literate people. And by that I mean people who by tradition did not have writing, which was a good portion of the rest of the world up to fairly recent times. So understand that most of what we know about native African languages, Polynesian languages, Melanesian, Micronesian, Austronesian, the languages of North, Central, South American indigenous populations. These kinds of people are the languages that linguistic anthropologists have focused on. And it's a good thing because so much of these traditional cultures lost a lot of their culture, unfortunately, in the onslaught of the Western way. So, a lot of people ask me, why is it important to learn linguistics and learn these exotic languages from all over the world? We do now know that language and culture are intertwined. And you really can't learn about another culture unless you learn about its language. Because the language can give you insights into the culture that you're not going to get from mere observation. So as I always tell my students, if you're going to go out in the field and you're going to do cultural anthropology, you really should try to learn the language of the native people who are there. Okay? Anyway, linguistics is a fascinating area. And when I was an undergraduate at UCLA, I did get involved in documenting the Mono language with a team of linguists at UCLA, and we helped to put together a dictionary for the Mono Native Indian people up in North Fork area. And that was very rewarding, working with these elders, recording this language before the elders died off. Another area we can get into is cultural anthropology. And then, of course, is the course that you're taking. So, we say that cultural anthropology is the study of contemporary human societies and their cultures. The focus originally was on non-traditional, non-Western cultures. Okay? So, here's what happened. Beginning around the 1860s, 1850s time period, there were some social scientists who were concerned about the loss of culture that was going on Earth in the onslaught of the Western way. And so they decided to dedicate their lives to documenting these non-Western cultures before they disappeared. So most of what we know about Native American cultures, like I said, stretching from the Arctic all the way down to South America, Native African cultures, Native South Pacific peoples, Southeast Asian, even tribal people of Europe, okay, like the Lapp people up in Finland. Anyway, most of what we know about these people comes to us from cultural anthropologists who went out in the field and documented their way of life. And it's just a wonderful thing because now we have their traditional music, their traditional religions, ways of life in general. Okay? Why is it important to learn about the cultures of the world and to document these cultures in cultural anthropology? All these cultures form the fabric of humanity, what it means to be human. If you're going to formulate models, theories about what it means to be human, you need to include all humanity, not just people in the Western world. Then and only then can you truly know what it means to be human. Of course, cultural anthropology is the course that you're taking or class that you're taking. Okay? And we're going to be delving into this in quite a bit of detail about the different cultures throughout the world and their different life ways soon enough. Now, I say on here that originally the focus was on non-Western cultures. Today, the emphasis has shifted a little bit because all the traditional cultures of the world are pretty much known and documented. So anthropologists have turned away a little bit from the more traditional, going out to live with people in Africa and things like this. They still do it, but the emphasis is a little different. And there's been a lot of shift over to what we would call urban anthropology, sex and gender anthropology, economic anthropology. These are the kinds of things, education in anthropology. You see a lot of this stuff going on, incorporating what was learned from the studies done abroad in these different areas with the different cultures. And of course, we'll get into all this in detail soon. Let's go on to the next area of anthropology shown on here. Physical anthropology, also known as biological. That's the study of human biological variation and evolution. So, the first three of these, archaeology, linguistics, and cultural, fall in the social science category. The physical anthropology falls in the biological science category. So you know how all of you guys have to take two, and two, 2 from social sciences, 2 from biological, 2 from humanities, 2 from physical sciences, and then you can take some electives to get your AA degree and to transfer. Okay? So, anyway, the cultural anthro class will help to fulfill one of the 2 needed for social sciences. What I wanted to do now is go through our reading exam schedule together and let you know what the kinds of things are that we're going to be covering in the course. Now, all of you will have this in one of the other syllabus documents coming up. But for now, let's just look through this. So, week 1, we get into what's called the essence of anthropology, where we talk about all the different areas of anthropology. They're covered in your book, in your workbook exercises, famous anthropologists, things like this. Then we get into the characteristics of culture. What is culture? And how is it defined? We then next get into ethnographic research.